Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Steve. This is the Fandom Show. It's Monday again, which must mean that it's time for more Monday Suck. And today we are looking at Manimal. I swear to God, I did not make this up. This was an actual show from the early 80s, aired in 1983 on NBC. And I know this looks kind of weird. It's actually the guy transforming from human to animal, but I know the faces look really bizarre. What can I say? It was the 80s. This kind of stuff was just, yeah. Well, anyway, the series starred Simon McCorkindale and Melody Anderson. Simon McCorkindale played a guy named Jonathan Chase, Dr. Jonathan Chase, who he liked everybody to call him JC. Don't know why, that was just his thing. And he had the ability to shapeshift. He could turn into any animal and use that animal's abilities. So, of course, he used his superpower to, you guessed it, fight crimes. And the Melody Anderson character was one of the few people on the show who actually knew that he could do this, kind of like Lois Lane is the only one who knows that Clark Kent is actually Superman. Now, the original idea was that these two were going to be sort of romantic partners, but it was found out really quickly that they didn't have any chemistry, so they kind of went with a platonic relationship instead. Now, this series only ran for 8 episodes. The ratings were not good. The reviews were not good. It's just 80s cheese. It just didn't work. It's just one of those things where they, hey, let's try this, and like, no. Maybe an interesting idea that could have worked, but the way they did it, the scripts weren't great, the stories weren't great. It was very cliche, very cheesy, which I know like that was the thing in the 80s, but this show just didn't do it very well. Only ran for 8 episodes, the ratings weren't there, so NBC is like, yeah, we're out, they canned it. Here's an interesting thing. Even though it only ran for 8 episodes and is generally regarded as really, really bad, it's got an average rating of 6.6 of 10 on IMDb, which is actually pretty decent. Even most pretty good movies don't crack 8.0 out of 10, and anything that's a 6.0 out of 10 or higher is usually not that terrible. Stuff that's really bad usually does 4 or lower, so surprisingly, this film does have an audience. In fact, it's really, really big in France. I'm not making it up. The French, for whatever reason, absolutely love this show. It got released in France on DVD before it got released here in the United States. And what the French networks used to do is they would basically allow their audiences to phone in and say, hey, we'd like to run some classic TV shows. Go ahead and phone in and let us know what shows you want us to run. So it's basically like a poll before the internet was a thing. And overwhelmingly, so many times, this was the show that went out, and they aired it again and again and again. So apparently, the French just absolutely love watching these same 8 episodes repeatedly. I don't get it. I probably never will. I guess it's kind of like those other things in the 80s where some things were really big in Japan, even though they didn't hit anywhere else. But this show at least found an audience somewhere, so how about that? Here's another interesting footnote. There were actually plans in 2012 for a live-action film based on the show, starring, if you can believe it, Will Ferrell in the title role. Now, unfortunately, that didn't go anywhere because I think that would have been a B-movie cheesiness at its absolute finest, but that was something that they considered for a while. I guess they figured that there really wouldn't be an audience for it, except I suppose maybe in France, but the movie needs to have more than just one country to be a success, so that's probably the last we're going to see of Manimal. There are a few clips floating around on YouTube if you would like to check this out. I certainly don't recommend it, but if you're a bit of a glutton for punishment, hey, why not? I do want to remind you before I wrap up this video that the Fandom Show does have a Facebook page. All you got to do is go to Facebook and search for the Fandom Show, and you will find us fairly easily. I post memes and little comments and things like that all the time there, so please check out that page if you're not already. I do thank you for joining me for this episode. As always, thank you for watching, and I will have more stuff for you soon.